I'm Dan Dewald, and this is my $300 car from Facebook Marketplace. Let the journey begin. Upon purchasing this vehicle, one thing was disclosed, and that was it needed new struts. They were bouncing out of the mounts on both sides. It was painfully obvious a repair was needed there, and other than that, I didn't see anything else from the seller. It was in a rural North Dakota town, and it was priced below $500. He said it ran, the air conditioner worked, and so I said okay. The battery terminal was unhooked at the time of purchase. I believe he did that to cover up any check engine lights. So when I got into the car to take it for his first test drive, I was basically trying to make sure this thing was not overheating while I drove it. But what I did notice right away was the car stereo just said OFF. I could power it on and it would say off. And that's because when the power terminal is removed from the battery, or if there's any loss of power, the security system freezes the radio up. So what I had to do is apply 2 hours of continuous power to this radio when it was on, and then go into my little owner's manual, and there was a stereo code written inside the 1464 written inside the book. So fortunately this came with the vehicle. I didn't have to worry about not having it. So I punched the code in, and it ended up activating the stereo again. So that was a big win. The next thing I noticed was that the brakes on this vehicle were rusty looking, the rotors were, and the brakes ground on them. So I bought new brake pads, and I installed those from AutoZone. It was about $100 for the front and $100 from the back. I probably could have gotten them cheaper had I purchased the parts on Amazon or an affiliate, car parts website online, but I didn't have the time to do that. So I spent $99 in the front, $99 in the back as far as brake repairs, and took care of that. I noticed there was a degraded plastic. There's a bunch of holes at this joint and this joint that cool or heat the electronic control module. So I replaced, basically metal duct taped these up so it would provide proper ventilation for it. It did have a leak. You can see it down here, and I didn't notice it on purchase, believe it or not. I should have. It smelled like coolant in the car, and it was a dead giveaway that, as you can see, it's sort of evaporating from the driveway. As ugly as that is, the heater core on this vehicle has a bad O-ring and is in need of replacement. Apparently it's a very common problem. So behind this panel, I'm able to access it, and it's about a $60 repair if you buy the parts from in town, and of course the internet is even going to be cheaper than that. So it does leak some coolant, not a huge issue. Well, that was scary. I just lost a spark plug. The other thing I did to it was went to the car parts store and waited for the check engine codes to start popping up again because the battery was disconnected, and misfiring was one of the issues I had. So with these misfire codes, I had to replace the spark plugs. I actually had set a spark plug on top of my engine here that just fell into it, but it was shot. They were actually the original Volvo spark plugs, and they were corroded and all gross looking. So after I replaced those, the check engine lights went away. I have anti-lock brake issues, but I know I can replace the sensors for that and get that puppy back online, or maybe the control module. But right now, the car does not overheat. It does not have a blown head gasket. It does not have a transmission issue. The engine is good running. I just did an oil change on it and put some front suspension and brake elements into it, so I know it's going to be safe to drive on the road. The next thing I'm going to do, and probably the first thing I should have done, was replace the timing belt, because the timing belt, when it breaks, will totally engine out if you're driving it. So it's one of those things that should be done every 70,000 miles per the owner's manual, and I have not yet gotten to that. So if I lose all of my time I put into this, it's because of that stupid timing belt. It's a bigger project. I'll do it with the water pump when it comes up. But for $300, this is where we sit, and I will take this car to Minneapolis in about 2 days. If it makes it down there and becomes a daily driver, I will probably hang on to it or flip it for what I put into it, and it'll be a total win. But for a car without a blown head gasket, with working air conditioning that runs and drives, doesn't leak anything besides coolant, I accept that. For $300, it was a steal. I'll keep you updated, because if this car starts running better than I expect it to, and from what I read online, they can take a beating, I'll hang on to this vehicle and build it back up to wherever it deserves to be at. So that's it. 1998 Volvo V70, 2.4 liter non-turbocharged vehicle, purchased for a whopping $300 on Facebook Marketplace. $400 of parts went into it, and $92 into registration. Thank you, North Dakota. I'll keep you posted.